Hi, my name is Rob, and I have a confession to make. I have this guilty pleasure, this thing I do late at night. My thing I load up with. No, it's not what you think. No, I lie in front of the television and I watch this TV program, you probably know it. It's How Things Are Made. And it's a program, well, exactly what it says, how stuff is made. And usually when I buy stuff or I use stuff, I don't think a lot about how it's made. But this program does make you think about that. It makes you think, who made it and where is it made? And more importantly, why is it made in the way that it is? And this made me wonder, because we all know why we're here today. We see all the screens. We are here because our climate is changing, our biodiversity is disappearing, and species are declining at a horrifying rate. And we also know that it's because of ourselves, because of the way that we make things. And the more I watch this program, the more I realize that the products that we use and that we buy are causing a havoc on this earth. We are destroying the world we live in. And what fascinates me more is that these products that we make, they are made by companies and corporations made up of human beings just like me, and like you, and you, and you. So the big question is, because these people, they know what they're doing, they know that their production methods are causing a negative effect. So the big question is, why do they make things the way they do? Why don't they think differently? So this brings me to my personal story. I'm Rob. I've always had this urge to be different, to do things differently, and it hasn't always been very beneficial to me. But my background is I studied international law, human rights. And in the 90s, I was a co-founder of an organization called War Child. We help children in war zones. And what we did is we thought differently. What if we don't bring water and food for these children? What if we brought them joy, entertainment? So we brought sports, drama, music, arts. And what we saw is that the children with a different methodology could actually live up to be a new generation of peace. To see that thinking differently actually can change the world. That's what really inspired us. Like I said, my background is I studied law, and I wound up in the corporate world. I became a business consultant, even more in that corporate world. And then I decided to start, as an entrepreneur, to start my own marketing communication company. And I have to admit, I did do some marketing for some very dubious brands and products as a marketeer. But then came my own How Things Are Made moment. That was about 2007, 15 years ago. Wow. And I was dreaming of building a sustainable company, a company where I not only could build a beautiful love brand, but also make products in a different way, to approach the way we do business in a different way, and to treat people in a different way. Okay, so my How Things Are Made moment. My friend Stefan and I, we were looking at all the obvious sustainable products. So we were looking at coffee and tea, electric cars, solar panels, anything we could imagine. But then, suddenly, late at night, he called me and he said, Rob, what are you sleeping under? Sleeping under? And I have no idea. Really, a duvet, dekbed. Do you actually know what you're sleeping under? I mean, 1/3 of your lifetime you're sleeping under a duvet. Do you know what's inside? I actually didn't. So I turned to Google, and that's probably something I should not have done. because this is inside your duvet, down, dons. And the cover is made of cotton. And the more we Googled, the more we found out that these two elements are creating a havoc on the earth. The direct impact of these two materials are enormous. So dreaming of this sustainable company that we were going to build, we were going to change the world. Exactly, that is what we were dreaming of. And we love to dream, and we love to do things differently. So we started a company called Yumeko, which means dream girl in Japanese, which is actually pronounced Yumeko. And our mission, the slogan that we really want to do is to change the world sleeping, which means not only can you change the world by sleeping, but we also want to change the world of sleeping. And to enable that mission that we have, we formulated our theory of change. And there's 3 elements in our theory of change. The first one is we want to create ethical, fair change in which we are beneficial for the environment, creating more biodiversity instead of depleting it. The second one is that we want to inspire consumers, inspire them to live a more sustainable lifetime and their purchasing behavior. And the third part of what we really want to do is to transform. We want to transform the business community into a more sustainable approach and to see business as a holistic approach. So we make products that are lovely. I mean, we make pillows, duvets, covers, the softest in the world. Beautiful. But the real thing that we want to achieve is impact. Positive impact for the environment, for people, and for animals. So let me go into this case of the duvet that you just saw. It was made up of cotton. And cotton, it's such a beautiful, beautiful plant. It has these flower bulbs and with long fibers. And with these long fibers, you can actually make beautiful bedding. Also clothes and everything we use this textile for. But there's a dark side to cotton. Cotton is actually one of the most polluting and harmful chemicals in the world. Not only that, it's also one of the most thirsty crops in the world. It takes 10,000 liters of water just to grow 1 kilogram of cotton, 1 pair of jeans. 10,000 liters. Not only that, the cotton chain is also responsible for the exploitation and underpayment of laborers, workers, and farmers all along that chain. And we use heavy chemicals and dyes to finish the product in the end. So why do we grow a crop? Why do we wear a material that is destroying our earth? Well, a good alternative is actually available. Organic cotton, which creates more biodiversity, creates a better soil, and is beneficial for the people that grow it. Did you know that only 1% of all cotton in the world is organic? And did you know that only 0.07% of all cotton is fair trade? So there's a huge potential here to make this more beneficial. So now we designed our own fair chain. We went back to India. We started talking to our producer, as well as a cooperative of farmers there, and we designed our own chain. So now we know exactly where our cotton is being grown, organically, fair trade, but we also know the next steps in the chain. So we know who does the ginning, we know who does the weaving, we know who does the spinning, and we know who finishes our product from seed to your bed. We know exactly who made it. And the down, dons. I had this notion, this romantic, bit naive idea that it came from wild animals flying happily in nature. which is not the case. Down is a byproduct of the meat industry. Poultry slaughterhouses. That's another cesspool that we opened. But still, down is also one of the most beautiful and loveliest products to sleep under. It's a beautiful material. So we were thinking, how can we make this product without all the animal cruelty? Because when we started this, down was being live plucked from animals. I mean, live plucking. And this is a very painful process. When we Googled it, you actually hear birds screaming when their feathers being plucked out. So we said, how can we change this? How can we change this? So again, with a partner and 60 to 80 farmers in Holland and Germany, we sat down, and it turned out that there were no rules and regulations for keeping ducks and holding ducks and geese. So we sat down with them, and we set up a whole book of rules and regulations to enable a better welfare for these animals. And by doing that, we created our own certification. Together with larger brands like Patagonia, we just set up a certification called the Responsible Down Standard, and now all our duvets are being filled with responsible ethical down. And rethinking the way we make products can also take another approach. So I was thinking, if we skip out the animal part, why can't we recycle down? And that product was not available on the market yet. So again, together with our partner, we sat down and we said, how can we recycle down in the first place? And now all our customers can send back their duvet, their pillows, their old stuff, their old jackets, and renew that, we clean it and refresh it, so that it's actually a better product than virgin down. And this innovation actually proves that a sustainable and recycled product can actually be better than the original. Because the Dutch consumer organization Consumentenbond just voted and awarded our product with the best buy in the Dutch market over all these other duvets. And, well, yeah. Thank you. So what we see is that as a small company, relatively small company, we can actually change a lot of things by rethinking the way we make things. So everything that we make is made from organic cotton, most of it also from fair trade cotton. And we have a range of products that have their own individual impact. We measure that and report every year. So I was thinking, if we can do this on a small scale, what would happen if we did it on a larger scale? What would happen if other companies started to do what we do, rethinking the way things are made? So I see that companies and corporations made up of human beings, just like you and me. Human beings that could also decide to do things differently. If you look at the business community, well, let me bring it differently. I see human beings in two different mindsets. I see that home person on the one hand, and I see a person at work on the other hand. And that home person, that's that loving father or mother who takes care of their children, who cuddles them when they feel ill. It's loving your dog and your animals. It's picking up plastic in nature. It's recycling your garbage. It's a loving, caring person, and a lot of kindness is in there. But if you look at the business community, it's about shareholder value, it's about financial values, and personal traits like assertiveness and strength, real male, left brain notions are being appreciated. So why don't we appreciate human values like kindness, care, and love in business? What would happen if we would do that? At Yumeko, we say that you will always take your work home. That's inherent to work. But what will happen if you take that home person to work? Because we really believe that because companies are made up of human beings, that we can actually change the way we behave. We truly believe that that home person, as a leader, as an employee, as a worker at a company, would look at the way we make things and wonder, why do we make it that way? Is there no alternative? Because that home person would look after their environment. So why do we change that mentality? When we come to work, why do we leave that humanity behind? I don't know. But I think that if we look at the future, that if we make business decisions with your child on your lap, and you feel love, and you feel care and kindness, that you would actually make a better business decision and more long-term oriented than if you look at all the financial gains and the financial values. So, if I look at this room here today, and I think, what would happen if all of you, tomorrow, when you go to work, you would bring that home person with you, and you would look at the business decisions you have to make, or that difficult conversation you have to do. If you do that with that home person in your heart, you would fundamentally make a different decision. So that would be my message to you today. Tomorrow, when you go to work, take that home person with you. Doesn't matter how small or big the changes you make, but make an impact. Tomorrow, take that home person to work. Thank you.